Guys, today it's all about pressure. And I'm not talking about the pressure your belt feels after Taco Tuesday. I'm talking about fuel pressure. Do you got it? Do you have enough? Do you not have enough? We got two cars today working on Michael's 57 Gasser here. We're also going to be working on my 1971 Chevelle. Two very different systems. We're going to put a mechanical gauge just so we can read what the fuel pressure is. Theory is Michael's having an issue adjusting his carburetors. Tunnel ram, I know. Two dual quads, I know. Pain in the butt. Long story short, he thinks he's got too much pressure and he's bypassing the needle and seat and he's running too rich. So we're going to put a gauge on it and we're going to see just how much pressure that mechanical fuel pump down there is actually making. Also today, as you guys know if you've watched my previous videos, I got an LS in this thing. It currently does not have a pressure sending unit or pressure transducer connected to the fuel system in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to install one today so that we can send that signal back to the Holley Terminator X. We can actually measure what the actual fuel pressure is. I'm running the Corvette style filter that has the automatic return. It's supposed to regulate, I think, to 58 or 59 PSI. You punch that in a computer and it's held as constant. I don't know that to be true, so we're going to find out today. So stay tuned. We're going to look at two different vehicles, two very different engines, and we're going to measure fuel pressure. All right, we're going to start with the easy one. I went on Amazon and I bought this. This is the MA243 Measurement Fuel Pressure Center Back Mount. New. Anyways, it was cheap. It was on Amazon. I don't know if I need a regulator yet, so we thought, you know what, let's start with just measuring pressure. Came in the kit, all the stuff we need to connect it, including this 3/8 barb fitting. Machining's kind of crummy in there, I can see it. A little bit of tape. I use some Rector Seal on that, but we're going to put that right in line, right in that piece of hose right there. It's 3/8 gas line. I'm going to put this in the system. We're going to put a couple hose clamps on it. And then it's a little bigger than I was hoping it was going to be. But then I got this very special filled pressure gauge. So we're going to go ahead and get this installed, and then we're going to find out exactly how much fuel pressure this car is making. All right. I was pointing to, we're going to put it right here in this 3/8 gas line. I can always cut this and change it, and that's the beauty about these old engines. I can go ahead and modify this as much as I want. Gas line at the auto parts store is relatively cheap still. I'm just going to cut a section out. Again, I'm going to put it about here, just so it's not in the way of anything. It's a little bigger than I was hoping. We're going to put it about there. I think that's a good spot. So it's about right where that's an 05 or G5, whatever. We're going to put it right about there. So I'm going to make a cut in this. We're going to modify this hose, make it a little bit shorter to accept this fitting. The car hasn't been running a while, so I'm hoping when we cut it, we don't have a massive fuel leak. Long story short, that's what it's going to look like. Hopefully it won't end up upside down. I'll have to put some tape on it and just see. But yeah, let's start. Actually, what if I put it this way? I'll put it that way so that it doesn't want to sag and twist. Let's do that. All right, we have a plan. Still gonna end up in the same spot, right about there-ish. All right, I'm gonna mark a spot in the hose where I want to cut it. All right, we're gonna use this. I picked this up at the hardware store. It is good for use on various types of pipe, but more important, it's also compatible with fuels. I know there's a product called Gasoila. I think that's what it's called. That's what I would prefer to get, but this is what they had. And you can see here, it is good for maybe used with some, but not all petroleum solvents, fuels, oils, dilute acids, and caustics and other chemical solutions. So we're going to use this. I've used this before, pretty happy with it. Just going to put a little bit to seal up those threads, but it is an MPT. So in theory, the thread should seal, but I'm going to go ahead and put this on just as a little bit of insurance. I want just a little bit. I don't want to go nuts. Make sure not to get it where it's going to be measuring. If I get it on there, I'll wipe it off. All right. Close this back up. Go ahead. Wipe that last thread or two off. The kit did come with some Teflon tape. I don't 100% trust Teflon tape. Usually I thought that stuff had a certain color to it. But let's see if we can't get this to spin around to a place we like it. Should probably take a wrench and give that a snug, but let's see where that puts us. All right, now now for the moment of truth. Go ahead and cut this fuel line here. Let's go ahead, put the actual gauge in there. Whew. This is 3/8, all right. Oh, I need to lube this up a little bit. Hang on. A little dry. I'm gonna put just a little bit of Vaseline. Hopefully I'm in the camera shot. A little bit of Vaseline on these barbs. Oops, a little bit, not a lot. Let's go ahead and try that again. There we go. Walk that on there. Oh, I forgot to do the side of it. Boy, they weren't messing around when I said it was 3/8. You know when this is coming off? Never. It's been a while since it's been started. It needs a little bit of help. Instant starting fluid. Looks like we got about 6 or 7 PSI. Bounce around a little bit, but that's just the way this thing idles. All right, now that we got the easy one done and it is reading fuel pressure, which we're good, it's about 7 PSI, so we'll take it. Let's move on to this guy. This one's gonna be a little bit more complicated. So in this video, we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna go ahead and figure out where our connection needs to be made, and some of it's in the loom. We'll have to take that out and move it because it's not in the right spot, or not in the spot that I need it to be in. We're also gonna have to make up an AN, piece of AN line. I have fittings. I actually have a 90 degree in case we wanna use that instead of just using a bend with a flex hose. And then we'll have to connect the actual pressure transducer. So let's get into it. It's a little bit more complicated. Let's start with getting the loom situated to make sure that we know where we're going to put it is where it can go. So let's start there. All right, so where I want to put it is right here, but you can see it's one of these connections up here, fuel. So this one's reading fuel pressure and it's way in the front of the harness. Move you over here. So this one is marked fuel. It's way in the front of the harness. I don't know if it would have normally plugged in here or somewhere here, but I want it back here. So we're gonna have to take this out of the harness and get this back towards the back. All right, first thing we gotta do is, again, which one's fuel? Throttle position sensor, IAC. First thing we wanna do is free this from the loom that it's in. Putting it under stuff. So we've got a ball of tape here. If I can unwind it, it's gonna fight me. I really just wanna free this up. What if I just took a razor knife here? All right, so let me get you up to speed. So this wire, the big thick one there with all the tape around it, is the one that I broke into. That's my connections. Put a couple zip ties on it, tape the wires up. I'll get some more of this loom so that it matches, but you can see my connection is now back here, which is right by my fuel inlet, because I want to put my pressure transducer somewhere in here, which is right by the clip. So it should just clip right in. So should be around there. Let's go ahead and get the fuel line off. There's probably going to be a little bit of pressure, so we'll have to relieve the pressure. Might be easier too to take this vacuum line off so I have access to that connection back here. You kind of see, take that connection off back there. I'm basically going to remake this whole line. It does like a 90, but a soft 90. I'm going to go ahead, I have a hard 90, I can do another soft 90. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to go ahead and get a piece that's about this long prepared, and then we'll be able to connect it from here to there with the pressure transducer, and then we should be able to plug in and yeah, set up the computer for the new pressure. All right, first things first, let's try to get that vacuum line undone. Boy, you're really in the way. That's better. You still recording? Yeah. Ugh. Whew. She wouldn't let go. Alright. Should have done a slow motion there. Alright, that's the vacuum for the brake. That's fine. Alright, now we can get to this fitting and this fitting. Now, it wasn't that long ago that I ran this car, and if all goes well, it should still be under pressure. Under pressure. So let's go ahead and collect any fuel that may still be stuck in here. I actually have an AN wrench, but I did this trick with the PVC tape because it almost works easier. And I can put these crescent wrenches kind of anywhere I need. So I'm gonna good. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know where all that fuel went. Hopefully it didn't go in my... Oh, there's a little bit of gasoline. It's free. Woo-hoo. Alright, so for this project, I'm basically remaking this. This was the side that went to the fuel rail. This is the side that went to the aluminum tubing that goes all the way back to the gas tank. So this curves around to my firewall. So my firewall will be here, and then the fuel rail will be here. And you can see it had a nice soft bend in it, and that was working pretty good for me. Long story short, this is the pressure transmitter that I bought, or pressure transducer that I bought. It seemed like they were available in a lot of places, had really good reviews. I paid up a little bit versus the straight Chinesium ones that were available, but it seemed like it was reputable. It actually came with a certificate, and it has a model number, also has a serial number. So it seems legit, at least it's acting like it's legit. So we're going to find out how this works, but like I said, I saw these all over the internet, and so I thought I'd give it a try. So that's this. And then I have miscellaneous fittings from Summit. I have, these are my tube ends, one for here, one for here. So this will allow me to replicate this. I have a piece of tubing here, and I also have a 90 if I choose to go that route. So we'll see. Ideally, if I could put, yeah, we'll see how it goes. And there's one critical piece. Where did it go? Oh, it's going to make this all happen, and this is an Evil Energy piece. I bought some of their stuff before, but long story short, this is an AN adapter, and this is going to go right into this adapter, and it's going to go one fitting on the fuel rail. Here's how it's going to go. One fitting on the fuel rail, one fitting on the tube. And then basically it's going to do, it's basically going to do this. I didn't have enough room to leave this in there, otherwise I would have just used this. Just put this in line. This basically just needs to be shorter. But that's what it's going to do, and then this side would connect to the fuel rail. So I need to figure out what orientation I want this in, and yeah, we can start plumbing it up. Alright, so if I do a quick little mock-up here, this is what I'm talking about. This is going to go somewhere in here-ish. There's, this is going to connect to here-ish. And then I need a new 90 to here. And you can see this piece would have been way too long. I could probably still get away with not using that elbow, which if I can, I'm going to try to do that and just make a shorter, just a shorter version of this would probably do it. Anyways, but it's going to look something like that, but this is how it's going to go. All right, let's get to making this up. So this separates, and this one's made specifically for flexible hose or flexible tubing. And you can see on the inside of here, maybe you can see, there are threads and it is a reverse thread. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this end first. I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to turn it this way, the opposite direction, left instead of right. And I'm going to get it over this end, and I'm going to basically twist this on there until it bottoms out in this fitting. First I got to do is get a clean end. I know I want it to curve this way, and this piece of braided hose has a natural curve, like it's got Peronis. So it curves this way naturally, so I'm going to go ahead and use that to my advantage. First I'm going to clean this up. You can put a piece of tape on this and use a cutoff wheel to cut a very nice sharp edge. But what I bought were these. These are actually made for wire, and they're from iCrimp, and they cut this tubing really, really well. I did the rest of my plumbing with it. Feel free to leave a comment as to why I shouldn't have used these, but I use this everywhere else in my fuel system, and knock on wood, it doesn't leak, and it works like it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a nice clean edge to start with. It is a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I don't have any wispies in there. You see I've got a nice clean edge. I'm going to take this and cut any of these little wispies away. Make sure they don't get in my tubing where I want to seal. And I'm going to take this end, like I said, and I'm going to make sure I grab all that braiding, and then I'm going to push it on. And again, it's reverse threaded. So I'm pushing and twisting until it bottoms out. And I can feel that it has bottomed out. And you can look in there if I had a flashlight handy. Let's see if I can get a flashlight so you can see in there. But you can look in there and actually see that it has bottomed out in there. Oh, and I've been using these Summit brand and fittings. I don't know who makes them for them, but I have not been disappointed. All right, next I'm going to put a little bit of lube on this thread, and then we're going to spin it on by hand, and we're going to take it over to the vise, and I'm going to spin this fitting on until it bottoms out inside here. But I'm going to lube this up first. This is what's going to grab the inside of this nylon braided flexible hose. So I just put a dab of lubricant on here, get her all lubed up, get her ready for business here. So I got enough, plenty on the threads. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this. You can feel it actually engage the inside of the tubing. Spin it on by hand as far as I can get it. Grab my Allen wrench. Alright, so I've gently locked it into these jaws. I'm going to use my Allen wrench here, and I'm going to put a little pressure going up, but at the same token I'm going to spin it around. And again, I think for good measure I'm going to mark with tape to make sure this doesn't move. For good measure, I'm going to mark this with tape just so I can see if for some reason this piece of braided line ends up pushing out while this is going in. This is just a little safety precaution to make sure that, and again, I'm going to just put it ever so gently in the vise here. Doesn't want to stay in the vise. I don't want to lock it in tight, so let's do it the old-fashioned way here. I'm going to lock this in here. around. It's getting tighter and should bottom out on that fitting. You're going to see that in just a second. Alright, we're bottomed out, and this tape did not move. So we can pull it off, so we know we've got a good connection there. Now I just need to figure out how long I want the other side. And again, I didn't damage this one in case we do have to go back to it. But we'll figure out how long we want it. Gonna need this to be, ideally, I want this connection to be here. Okay, looks nice and square. We're committed now. Same thing. Just trim off the little wispies. Don't want any of those going in our fuel system. Little piece of tape. Remember, this is reverse threaded. Let's get all the braiding in there. Feel like we're bottomed out. Let's go ahead and give this a little bit of lube. Oh, or a lot. Start screwing it in. What I say, we're going to mark the braided hose to make sure that this fitting doesn't slip out. All right, bottomed out. All right. You can see it didn't slip out. I think we're pretty good. Got a shorter version of this. Hopefully that's short enough. Not too short. I guess we're going to find out. Worst case, we've got that much hose. We could probably make one more if we had to, slightly longer. Just take it apart and start over. All right, let's go check out our mock-up, see how we did. If I go to here, oh, I feel like it might be a little bit long yet. And here, a little bit long. I think we'll be all right. All right, let's work on tightening up these lines. So I'm gonna snug it down and get it tight, and then I'm gonna loosen it, and then I'm gonna tighten it again. And that, you gotta be careful not to over tighten these and fittings. They're just aluminum. Let's get you over here. You can see, I don't know which will be easier to put on. It's easier to put this on first or that on first. If I'm being honest, could have been a little bit shorter. You know, tighten it. I loosened it, I tightened it. Hopefully it's seated. Well, now's the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and pressurize the fuel system and see if we have any leaks. That's gonna be how you tell. You guys stay here and watch. I'm gonna go turn the key. All right, let's turn the key, turn the pump on, see if we got any leaks. Any leaks? Dry, dry, dry. Back here. We are dry, everybody, for now. All right, guys, it's been about 20 minutes with no leaks. Just gonna touch the fuel rail. No gasoline. I'll check it again after driving around a little bit. It feels pretty good. Hey, we almost forgot. What did we forget? I see it sitting here. This vacuum line needs to go back in, otherwise we're not going to have brakes. So, vacuum line engaged. Now the moment of truth. Let's see if we have fuel pressure. Let's go ahead and look on the laptop and see if we can measure fuel pressure here. Go to my gauges to relive. That's where we're operating right there. The fuel table. Spark table. We're right about here. About 18 degrees. You can see that. Let's go to the gauges here. Fuel pressure. Look at that. Actually reading like 65 psi, a little bit on the high side. But hey, at least we got a reading. The good news is the Holley can now see fuel pressure. Again, we're reading a little bit high, but I had it at 59 psi, because that's what that regulator is supposed to be set for, but clearly it's a little bit higher. So that's another input to the computer. Let's change this and put fuel pressure down there. -1. Okay. Channels and gauges. I'm gonna put here. Pressure. That's what I want right here. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit save. Now -1. I got fuel pressure. My learn percent. Status that it's learning. Got my fans. Oil pressure. RPM. Alright, I think I'm set. I'm gonna leave it there. Nice. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. We just addressed fuel pressure monitoring issues with two very different vehicles with two very different technologies. One, Gen 1 and a gasser, just put a manual gauge in to see what pressure we're reading at. And then two, my 1971 LS swaps Chevelle. We put a sending unit or fuel pressure sending unit or pressure transducer, whatever you want to call it, in line, connected it to the Holley ECU. Now we can measure fuel pressure accurately. It goes to show you that Corvette style fuel filter that was supposed to be regulating at 58 or 59 psi is really running about 66 psi, so a little bit higher than advertised. But that's good to know. Now the computer can make adjustments. I can make adjustments when I tune, and we should be better off for it. Please like, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.